Okay, welcome everyone. If you're new to the channel, we cover stock market technical analysis and trade ideas. That's what this is all about. So no time to waste. Let's get right into it. Want to point out a few things that are interesting. We're going to start out with tech sector, triple Qs. We've got a little bit of what looks like a reversal on the hourly, but nothing on the daily. So daily chart, I'm watching this trend line right there marked in blue. We've just been walking up this uptrend line. No change, no break in that trend line. Trend still holds, so it still looks like we're moving higher until we see a breakdown. We do have confirmed negative divergence now. So here it is on the RSI. See how we're starting to roll over right there? Let me just kind of circle that out. So we made a high here, and now we're making a lower high, and it's starting to roll over as well. So if I zoom in on that, you'll see that basically there it is right there, starting to roll down. So that's confirmed negative divergence. That indicates that the conditions are right for a correction or a move to the downside, but we don't have an entry or a sell trigger. So no actionable trade, but we do have a trade setup. And, for me to see a break on the hourly chart of this trend line, I've got it kind of circled right there. That's the trigger or the entry. So I'm going to be watching for it. I suspect it'll show up here any day. Maybe not this week. It's a holiday shortened week, so a lot of people go on vacation. It's a lot of retail trade going on right now. But I think it's going to show up sometime soon. So again, just looking for that. And until I see that, though, the market can continue to go higher. Same with the SPY. You'll see here. Again, on the daily chart, there's your uptrend line right there. And we do not have a breakdown of that trend line. We do not have a sell signal. We do have negative divergence. It continues to, build, basically. You'll see here on the PPO how we're just trending down. Let me get rid of that. You'll see how we're just moving down right there. And if I zoom out, we were making lower highs. And yet price continues to move higher. So that negative divergence, again, just indicates that the conditions are right for a reversal. So we just stay on the lookout for it, and that's all we're looking for is the break of that trend line for the next sell signal. Okay. If we break that trend line on the SPY, then I think the first level of support is probably going to be down here about 454. All right, so we're going to watch that. Okay, let's flip down. Gold's getting smashed today, down 40 bucks. We're breaking back through that support level. Well, was looking for this area to hold 1834, but we do have support right here at about it's about 1800. We're pretty much right there. So if I look at the hourly chart, you can see that we basically have been moving up this trend line right here in blue, and we're right there. I could probably move it down slightly, but I kind of like this right in here. So I would look for this to be the area to hold. Anything below this, and it's not going to look good from the bullish side. So I am expecting us to hold right in here. All right, you probably could go down to about 1790, maybe intraday tomorrow or so. But I would expect us to hold right here. If we don't, then something else might be going on. So we'll watch for that. We do also have a larger bull market. This is your major bull market starting back in 2018. Here's your trend line. I've got it circled out. So it is possible that we come in and hit that trend line again all the way down here at about 1750. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could be possible. Anything below that, and it just really starts to put into question the fact that we're still in a bull market. All right, so we are in a bull market. You're uptrending clearly, but if you start breaking below that, it's going to put that into question. So those are levels I'm watching. The miners don't seem to be, the miners are selling off, but you look at the GDX, it's only down 1.5% today. Gold's selling off a lot more, but the miners aren't really selling off as much. So something to look at. I think the miners are at support. When I go to the hourly chart, you can see here, this was your previous area where we kind of popped above it. And right here, you can see how we held support right there at about 32.76. And that's pretty much where we gapped down today and sold off to. And so far, we've held. So looking for that to hold. That, to me, seems like a key level of support, a kind of a key pivot level. I'm looking for it to hold and for us to actually continue higher. If you really just zoom out and look at really what's going on, at least in the miners, we're making a series of higher lows, all right, and higher highs. All right, so we're uptrending like this, and top of the trend, maybe it's something like that, but we're uptrending. So I would look for something like that to hold. We could dip down to about 32.50 or so, but I would look for us to hold in this area where I have it circled. All right, not, I don't know exactly to the penny, but again, key levels to watch 32.86 and then probably that 30, this trend line, depending on when we hit that. And just to back this up, here's Barrick Gold, one of my favorite miners. Today we gapped down and ran down and filled the gap. So we had a previous gap right there, and that gap came in at about 1960. We traded down to it today, and that's where the buyer stepped in. You can see right there, we traded right down through it, and then the buyers have stepped in. So I'm looking for 1960 area to hold. Right about there, 1965. And I'm looking for this to really be an area of support, and then we're going to continue higher. Again, if you step back and take a look at the bigger picture, we are making a series of higher lows, all right, as long as we hold here, and higher highs, all right? So we're uptrending. So looking at this to be an area of support, and I actually added to my trade. I added to this position this morning. Okay, sell signal today on net. It's down almost 9%. I definitely shorted this thing earlier this morning. So on net, you'll see here that basically coming off the March 2020 lows, we've got this trend line marked in red. We held support. This is where we broke back here back in March of 2021. We've been hitting that from underneath as resistance. So you can see there. And then recently, right up in here, we've just been kind of trading underneath that trend line. If you look at the hourly, it started to make a bearish rising wedge pattern on the low. So I was looking for a break of this blue line right here on the hourly. And there it is. There's your break. And, that's where I shorted it, was on the break. And you can see from the break, basically, it's down, we're down about 8% or so from that breakdown, and it was actually almost down about 10% at the lows all the way down here. So that's a sell signal, and that sell signal came with negative divergence. See, it is right there. See how the momentum was just trailing off and heading lower on the RSI and the PPO. As this continued to grind higher in this bearish rising wedge pattern, momentum was dropping off, and there's your sell signal. So big impulsive breakdown. I think we're going lower. Target for this one, I think the nearest level that I could find of any kind of support is all the way down here at about 137. So it's about 30, from where we're at now, about a 28% drop to that nearest support, and could be a lot lower. You have to remember, this is a momentum stock. It rallies, a lot, and it can drop a lot. So that's what I'm looking for right there. Near-term support about 137.20. Okay, here's a long trade idea, Vale or Vale. I think it's Vale, but iron ore miner. This is kind of an inflation trade. It's also maybe an economic recovery trade. But this one you've got coming off of 2016 lows. You have an uptrend line, only two reactions, with a COVID drop, and then kind of a third reaction right here. So I think we're going to hold, but you can see just the last 2 days, we broke below that trend line that I had marked out. And today, gapped up and pretty strong rally. I think this thing was up almost 10% or so at the highs. We can look, from the gap up or from the close on Friday, it was up, about 8%. And we've recovered that trend line. So that's bullish so far. And this came with bullish divergence. See how we were building this momentum to the upside, how this started to trend up, and yet price continued to drift lower. And then we undercut that. This all looked like a buy area to me. And so far today, the buyers are stepping in, gapping up with a pretty nice move, up almost 7% today. So again, I've been building, I added to the position. I had a position, I added to it a little bit first thing on the break this morning. And so far, so good. So I think we're likely going to hold in this area and start to move higher. And some other positions that are very similar to this, Rio Tinto, this is an iron ore miner. This one has been making a bullish falling wedge pattern on the daily chart. You can see we're just kind of drifting lower within this wedge, and yet momentum is starting to move higher right there. So bullish divergence on the momentum and a bullish pattern, but no buy signal yet. Ideally, you'd want to wait for, probably the break of this pattern a breakout above this trend line right here. I don't know when where that's going to come, but that's what I'd look for on the buy signal on that. But it is a bullish setup. And then this one, BHP, they also do iron, and it's kind of isometrical triangle, so it could break either way. This pattern, it's not indicating which way it's going to break the pattern, but we do have bullish divergence. So see the momentum, how we're moving higher. So that's a divergent low. And that was really your last divergent low right there. But we have bullish momentum while kind of making this isometric triangle. So whichever way it breaks is likely the direction. But the momentum here is putting the probability in the fact that it's going to break to the upside. So we'll watch for that. This one, I was trying to mark out some sort of a trend line on this. Who knows? It's not that clean. So just kind of playing around with that. All right, so there's some ideas. Here's KHC. What are we doing here? This thing. Okay, so here's your divergent low, and I talked about this. We gapped down the last week right to that support area of about 35, 37. Kind of undercut it a little bit, but the momentum, see that right there? See how we're continuing to build on momentum to the upside? I had it circled. We made a higher low. So we made a lower low in price as we dropped down and chopped through here, running a bunch of stops, and yet momentum is still giving us that bullish divergence. So, this is a divergent low. All this price action down here, it was a buying opportunity. I added to the position. This thing's up a little bit today, but the bigger picture is that it's recovering this trend line. So I think we're likely going to hold here and, move to the top of the range, which is about 37.81. That'd be an area if you could exit there if you wanted to, or wait for the breakout and trade it all the way up for gap fill all the way up here at 47.85. Big gap right there that still needs to be filled. I think that's where this is headed. I think we're going to bounce here and run up and fill that gap. Just want to point this out. Scanning through a lot of these momentum stocks, I have them marked in red, and they're just a lot of them are kind of high-flying momentum stocks. They're not all like that, but lots of tech in here. They're all selling off pretty good recently. Here's Redfin. This thing is down from the highs. It's down already 58, 60%. And that's even before the Zillow news and everything came out. So these are all kind of selling off. PayPal's just, pretty much plunging. A lot of these are selling off pretty good. So what I'm seeing right now is the strength in the market is really the financials look relatively strong, as well as the FANG stocks are relatively strong as well. So if we get a reversal in FANG, I think it's likely we're going to see a sell-off. Just things to watch for, because I'm seeing a lot of these high-flying momentum stocks selling off pretty good. Lyft selling off. Everything's really coming down. Etsy, potential bearish engulfing candle, something to watch for. I don't see a setup there yet, but something to watch for. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today. Leave a comment if you have a stock you want me to look at. I'm always looking for new trade ideas, so leave a comment below on anything you want me to look at. Leave me a thumbs up. Check out the stock market technical analysis course I put together. Link in the description below. It's a pretty good course, 4 to 5 hours of video trainings across all kinds of concepts, from risk management to chart analysis. And I'm only charging $99 for it. So good value there, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.